Welcome to another episode of Explained by AI. Today, we're going to be diving into the world of outdoor bedding for small children. You know those charming little beds that look like miniature houses, almost like rabbit hutches, really.
Mm.
So we're going to be exploring the health benefits, weighing practical considerations, and even touch upon some of the cultural aspects that make this such a fascinating topic.
Yeah, it's definitely a trend that's gained some traction.
Yeah.
Especially in Scandinavian countries, outdoor napping is super ingrained in their culture.
That's so interesting. I'm really curious about the health benefits. What makes this practice so advantageous for these young children?
Well, fresh air is a huge factor. Studies have linked it to, deeper sleep, a boosted immune system, all sorts of good stuff. And then also exposure to natural light can help regulate a baby's circadian rhythm. So that means healthier sleep patterns.
Wow, it really is amazing how nature can have such a profound impact on our well-being, even from such a young age.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just sleep, too. Spending time outside can actually help babies acclimate to temperature changes, so they become more resilient. And it can even reduce exposure to indoor allergens and pollutants, which of course contributes to, healthier breathing and all that.
It seems like there's a lot of good reasons to at least consider outdoor napping. But what about the practical side of things?
Right. Well, there are a bunch of different types of outdoor beds out there, each with their own pros and cons, I guess. Durable plastic beds are super popular because they're weather resistant and easy to take care of. But some parents prefer wooden beds just for the way they look.
Yeah, they can be really cute. But I imagine wooden beds require a bit more upkeep, just to protect them from the elements.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely have to treat them regularly with weather-resistant finishes and all that to make sure they last.
That makes sense. I bet choosing the right location for the bed is pretty crucial, too.
Oh, absolutely. You want a nice, shady, sheltered spot, ideally somewhere you can easily keep an eye on your little one without having to constantly go outside.
Makes sense. And we can't forget about bugs.
Oh, yeah. Insect protection is non-negotiable. You got to have a fine mesh mosquito net to keep those little critters away.
Definitely. What about keeping them comfortable in different kinds of weather?
Well, temperature regulation is super important. Mattresses and bedding made from natural materials like wool or cotton can really help with that. They wick away moisture and, help regulate temperature. Plus, dressing your baby in layers makes it easy to adjust as the temperature changes throughout the day.
Smart. I've also heard it's a good idea to actually monitor the temperature inside the bed.
Yeah, it's definitely a good precaution, especially when it's really hot or cold outside. A thermometer can really give you peace of mind.
Good tip. Are there any other practical things parents should keep in mind?
I always recommend putting the outdoor bed under some kind of covered area, but somewhere where you still have a clear view from your house.
So you get that extra layer of protection from the elements, but you can still easily check on your little one.
Exactly. Best of both worlds.
This is all super insightful. I'm really starting to see the appeal. Now I'm kind of curious about the cultural side of things.
Oh, yeah. The cultural differences in how outdoor napping is viewed are actually really interesting. In those Scandinavian countries we were talking about, it's seen as a totally normal and healthy part of childhood.
Really ingrained in their culture.
Totally. And they really believe that exposing babies to fresh air and the elements helps them develop stronger immune systems and, just become more resilient overall.
Makes sense to me.
And it's not just a personal parenting choice either. It's even reflected in their childcare systems. Daycare centers there often have babies napping outside, even when it's pretty chilly. Bundled up, of course.
Wow, that's pretty different from what we see in a lot of other parts of the world.
Right. In some cultures, outdoor napping might be met with some skepticism or even concern. People might worry about safety or security, or just be uncomfortable with the whole idea.
I guess those perceptions come from different beliefs and experiences.
Exactly. Some cultures might prioritize constant supervision or have concerns about potential dangers outdoors. And of course, climate plays a role too. Some places have weather that just makes outdoor napping impossible or unsafe.
It's definitely a complex issue. So many factors at play. Tradition, practicality, personal beliefs, it's all connected. Well, this has been a fascinating look at the practical and cultural dimensions of outdoor bedding for small children. In our next segment, we'll delve deeper into the potential drawbacks and hear some expert recommendations to help parents make informed decisions. But before we move on, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonates most with you about outdoor bedding? We'll be back shortly to continue our deep dive into this captivating topic. So we've been talking about all the benefits and practicalities of outdoor bedding for little ones, but I want to get back to the cultural side of things a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? how different cultures view this whole outdoor napping thing. It's fascinating. Like in those Scandinavian countries, it's like almost a rite of passage, deeply rooted in their traditions and like embraced by their whole society.
Yeah, they seem to really believe in it.
Oh, absolutely. They think that exposing babies to fresh air and the elements helps them build up resilience and strong immune systems.
Makes sense.
And it's not just reflected in their parenting practices either. It's like woven into their whole childcare system. Daycare centers there will often have babies napping outside, even in like colder weather.
Wow, really?
Yeah, bundled up, of course.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's definitely different from what we see in a lot of other parts of the world.
Totally. In some cultures, outdoor napping might be met with a lot of skepticism, even concern.
Yeah, I can see that.
People might worry about safety or security, or just be generally uncomfortable with the idea.
I can see that those perceptions probably stem from different beliefs and experiences within those cultures.
Right. Some cultures might prioritize constant parental supervision, or they might have concerns about, potential dangers lurking outdoors. And of course, climate plays a role. Some regions just have extreme weather that makes outdoor napping impractical or even unsafe.
Yeah, true. It's a lot to consider. All those factors,
Yeah.
Tradition, practicality, and personal beliefs. It's all connected.
It is.
Well, okay, so we've talked about the good stuff, but let's shift gears a bit and talk about potential drawbacks. I mean, aside from the weather, are there other things parents should be aware of?
Yeah, there are definitely a few things to think about. Like, one potential drawback is the risk of isolation, especially if the outdoor bed is located far away from the main living areas. The baby might miss out on those like casual interactions and background noises that contribute to a sense of connection.
Right, you don't want them to feel completely cut off.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between providing a peaceful outdoor haven and still making sure the baby feels connected to the family.
That makes sense.
What else? Well, security is another concern, especially in areas with, wildlife or stray animals.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So making sure the bed has secure enclosures and the surrounding area is safe, that's really important.
And even with mosquito nets. Can't forget about bugs completely.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You always got to be diligent about insect control to prevent bites and potential allergic reaction.
Right, makes sense. So, okay, we've talked about drawbacks. Let's move on to like expert recommendations. Based on everything we've discussed so far, what advice would you give to parents who are thinking about outdoor bedding?
Well, I think the most important thing is to do your research and really plan carefully. Like, you need to understand the climate in your area, any safety concerns, and even the cultural norms.
It's not a decision to take lightly.
Nope, not at all. And then, of course, you need to choose the right type of outdoor bed, prioritizing durability and weather resistance and all those safety features.
Right, and it's got to be comfortable for the baby, too.
Oh, absolutely. Well padded with breathable materials and ideally adjustable so it can grow with the baby.
That all makes sense.
Oh, and one more thing. Think about creating a stimulating environment for the baby, like adding sensory elements, things like wind chimes, or a mobile with like nature-inspired designs. It can make the space more engaging and calming for the baby.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
So let's talk about supervision for a minute. We've already established that daytime outdoor naps are generally recommended, but even during the day, how can parents make sure their baby is safe while still letting them enjoy those benefits?
Well, a reliable baby monitor is a must-have, preferably one with video and audio, so you can keep an eye on things and listen for any signs of distress without having to be right there next to the bed constantly.
Right, and it probably helps to have the bed located somewhere within easy eyesight of your house.
Oh, absolutely. That way you can just glance out the window and check on things.
Perfect. Now, another big concern I think a lot of parents have is temperature regulation.
Yeah, that's a big one.
How can they make sure their baby is comfortable in different weather conditions?
Well, layering is key. Dress the baby in layers so you can easily adjust their clothing throughout the day. And I always recommend using a thermometer to monitor the temperature inside the bed, just for that extra peace of mind.
Right, too.
And of course, choosing breathable bedding materials like cotton or wool. Those natural fibers help regulate temperature and wick away moisture.
Keeps the baby nice and comfy.
Exactly.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about the cultural significance of outdoor napping, the practical considerations, the potential drawbacks, and even some expert recommendations.
It's definitely a lot to think about.
It is. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dives, I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the cultural differences surrounding outdoor napping? Have you ever considered it for your own child? We've been talking about all these different perspectives on outdoor napping, and I'm wondering, For those parents who live in communities where it's not so common, how do they navigate those cultural differences?
Well, I think open communication is really key. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your family, explain your decision. It can really help prevent misunderstandings.
Transparency is always a good thing.
Exactly. And it's also a chance to kind of educate others. You know about the potential benefits of outdoor napping. Sharing what you've learned can go a long way towards normalizing the practice and broadening perspectives.
That makes sense. So we talked about the immediate benefits of outdoor napping, but what about the long-term impact?
Well, there's more and more evidence suggesting that early exposure to nature has a really profound impact on child development.
Interesting.
Yeah, studies have shown that spending time in nature can boost creativity, improve cognitive function, and even reduce stress.
Wow, that's amazing.
And those benefits can last well beyond childhood. It's about fostering a lifelong connection with the natural world.
It's true. In our busy modern world, with all the technology and distractions, outdoor napping feels like such a refreshing return to simplicity.
I agree. It reminds us that sometimes the simplest things are the most rewarding.
I love that. Just imagine your little one drifting off to sleep under a canopy of leaves with a gentle breeze as their lullaby.
It's magical.
It really is. As we wrap up this deep dive into outdoor bedding for small children, we encourage you to think about everything we've discussed today, whether you're fully on board with the idea or just curious. We hope this episode has given you some food for thought. Do you have any topic that you would like to have explained? Drop it in the comments.